I get mad of Shabbos
Welcome back, my dear friends, to another episode of Around the Shabbos Table. It's a bit of a heavy week, a heavy time for us, but we want to get on here. We want to come on and give you some of our thoughts and maybe even just process ourselves and have this as a moment where we can look and at ourselves and what happened in Meron, what happened in Israel, and what happened in all of Klal Yisrael, to all of the Jewish people. And it's a time, it would be Yehi Ratzon, that this should resonate with somebody. And that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should let somebody, maybe if you need a nechama, or maybe if you need help, or maybe if you need something and a thought that could bring you inspiration, then it should be as well that we can accomplish that tonight. We are brought to you by the Intentional Jew Podcast Network. You can check us out on intentionaljew.com. And also, in light of just dealing with turbulent times in your life, I put up a podcast this week on Beyond the Book with somebody who had a conversation with. Her name is Ricki Simon, and through her husband's fight with cancer, she remained faithful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and has a lot to say, and she wrote a beautiful book about it, and I got to sit down and talk to her about that. So if you're looking for more ideas, that's a nice place to go to as well. It's Beyond the Book. Her name is Ricki Simon. You can check it out on intentionaljew.com.
Right, and I can make a little commercial. Also, immediately after this happened, on Friday, I just was just filled with so many hergeshim, so many feelings, and it was a day for me. Like I remembered back feeling like a 9/11, of really not only just trying to find information to understand what it was, but just totally devastated and not able to process. And I put out a short Shabbos message, which can be found on my YouTube channel, and it's an eight some odd minute message, but it's not even an instruction. It's really just what I was processing and what I was going through. And as you said, like tonight really is going to be that also. It's really what we're processing, and let people hear our thoughts and attach them to their own and let them spark some of their own thoughts. But if anybody wants any of that also, so then you can take a look at the YouTube channel and the Shabbos message, Precious Emor.
And okay, so there's a lot going around. There's a lot of videos, footage, haspedim, funerals, crying, and it's all available and it's all there and you can watch it. We want to a little bit process this with you, Daddy, with me. I want to process it. And I thought I just a few thoughts. I saw that one of the fathers of two of the boys who died, one of the fathers said that 45 is gematria ma, mem hey, what? And I think that's how I'm still feeling now is what? The ambiguous nature of what happened. What happened? Ma. What? And I think that's sometimes the Yetzer Hara sometimes tries to instill that in us, this suffix, this not knowing, this havoc in our minds. What is? And just pointing and finding. And sometimes within that moment, I'm sure 9/11, as you mentioned, was similar to that, where it's like people didn't know. And I think that's what we're still experiencing. And you should experience, I should experience this for as long as I can. And the pointing fingers it's too easy for me to do that, because you do it and you're done. And I think that
you do it and you push it away from yourself. If it's all about blaming somebody, so then it's not about you and anything that you need to learn or process or feel. It's just it's an anger at what other people did to cause this to happen, and the whole thing gets put into a different place.
So I don't know if everyone got, or if you got the chance to listen, to read all the names. I do want to make my way through this list. For me, was the part of the process was I was numb to it until I read their names. And when I started reading their names, I started realizing that these are humans, these are people. It's not the collective the 45, but each one is a person. So if you give me a minute here, I'm going to read, and I think you can close your eyes, you can process this, because I think the names are important. And I apologize if I don't say them right. Menachem Zekbach. Menachem was 24 of Modin Elite, and he's survived by his pregnant wife and their 1-year-old child. Again, I don't know if I'm going to make it through more than a couple of these. Simcha Diskind, 23 of Beit Shemesh. He was survived by his wife and 2 young children. Shraga Gestetner was a native of Montreal. He's a member of the Skver Hasidic sect, and he's survived by his wife and 5 children. He lives in Monsey. Shimon Matalon of Beitar Elite was survived by his 11 children. Yedidia Hayut was at this event with his family, was 13. David Kraus was 33, survived by his 9 children. Moshe Bergman, 25, studying in Mir Yeshiva and living in Yerushalayim. Chaim Rock, 19, was from the central city of Beit Shemesh. Yisrael Anakva, 24, survived by his 2 children. Eliyahu Cohen was 16, from Beitar Elite. Hanoch Slod, 52, from Ashdod. Elazar Mordechai Goldberg, 37, had 4 children. Moshe Ben Shalom, 20, was from Bnei Brak. Yedidia Fogel was from Jerusalem and studying yeshiva in Ramat Gan. Yonatan Hebroni was the father of 3 from Givat Shmuel. Moshe and Yosef David El-Hadad were 12 and 18, residents of Yerushalayim. Yeshua and Moshe Nata Englard, 14 and 9, from Jerusalem. And that's the one that his father was speaking. I'm pretty sure that he said he came with 5 children and left with 3. Haim Seller, 24, of Yerushalayim, survived by his wife and 2-week-old daughter. Yehuda Leib Rubin, 27, from Beit Shemesh. Shmuel Klagsbag, survived by 8 children. Yosef Amram Tauber, 19, from Monsey. Danielle Morris, 19, from Teaneck, New Jersey, from Yeshivat Shalavim. Moshe Levy, 14, from Bnei Brak. Yosef Yehuda Levy, 17, near Haifa. Nachman Kirschenbaum, 15, from Beit Shemesh. Ariel Tzadik, 57, from Jerusalem. Rabbi Eliezer Tzvi Yosef, 26, from Kiryas Yoel, New York, father of 4. Abraham Daniel Abmon was 21. He was from Argentina, studying yeshiva in Jerusalem. Dubi Steinmetz, 21, from Canada. Yishai Mualam, 17, again near Haifa. Yosef Masterov, 18, from Ramla. Yosef Greenbaum, 22, from Haifa. Eliezer Yitzchak Koltai, 13, from Yerushalayim. They were from Passaic, New Jersey, before moving to Israel with his family. Menachem Noblowitz, 22, from Borough Park. He was engaged to a young woman from Lakewood, New York. Elkanah Shiloh, 28, from Yerushalayim. Elazar Geffner, 52. Yossi Cohn, 21, from Cleveland, was a student in the Mir Yeshiva. Shlomo Zalman Leibowitz, 19, from Sfat. Moshe Tzarfati, 65, from Yerushalayim, was survived by 4 children and 25 grandchildren. Ariel Achdut, 20, was from Jerusalem. Chen Doron, 41, was a resident of Cholon. Mordechai Fakata, 24, Samer Chassid, father of 2. Yaakov Elchanan Stavarsky, 20, from Elad, was a student in yeshiva in Jerusalem. And that's that. And I think that for me, reading those names again here made them into people, and seeing that my wife pointed out that it's, mothers and wives who are left alone in this one. It was all men, and they left families and wives and mothers crying for them. So when you have that, for me, having that, making them human, making them people, and imagining that, really quiets down all the noise. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of conversation around this, but this is the conversation. The conversation is...
We should open that, not have the conversation, but that just to make everyone aware that the conversation is going to be about blame. It's going to be about politics. It's going to be about... And some of the conversations are actually important conversations, but they're not according to our estimation, not for now necessarily, but that's what the conversations are going to be. Why did this happen logistically? How was this able to happen, and what does that mean, and who's to blame for these kind of things? And this we're Klal Yisrael's in Shiva right now. We're in Shiva, and that's not the discussion for now. It will become the discussion. It will be the appropriate time to discuss it. And you mentioned that the father said ma, and that's really the question that we have to ask. We have to ask ma. There's a very beautiful thing that was once said, that the question is not lama, why, but lima, for what? What's not why did this happen? None of us could ever and should ever grapple in why it happened. But what we can get from it, and what we're to do with this, what we're to understand from it, what we're to walk away with, what we're to feel, that's lima, for what? For what is this all happening? What are we supposed to take from this? I want to tell you a beautiful thing. And this is something I heard. It's something that I'm using to help me process. And if it helps anyone, then it's a beautiful thing. It says that Adam Harishon, when after the sin in the garden, so God walks into the garden and he says to Adam Harishon, he says, Ayeka, it's where are you? Where are you? That you're God. You know exactly where everybody is. You know exactly where he is and what just happened. The question Ayeka is not the question of where are you. The question Ayeka is where are you in regards to our relationship? That if we have a relationship like this, then how could this have happened? Where are you holding in our relationship? It's not where you are physically, but where are you spiritually? Where are you? And that sound, that call, that voice, that call, the cry out to Adam, was a cry that God constantly sends the Jewish people. Tisha B'Av, when we read the book of Lamentations, we read Eicha. Eicha is the same word, Aleph Yud Chaf Hei. It's really Ayeka. Where are you in terms of this relationship? That sound comes now from Har Chorev every single day, asking us, where are you? An amazing thing. I was talking to somebody today who was telling me that his kids had gone to Meron and he was waiting for them to call. One of them had shut off the phone. The other one didn't even know that anything had happened. They had left before and they were on a bus. And the parents are calling and calling and calling and calling. And at a certain point in the night, they're already sitting Shiva. And then they got the call. The kids are safe. Everything is fine. Can you imagine those hours that they had to go through that kind of pain, that kind of wonder? Are my kids the victims? Am I going to see their names on a list? Did something happen to them? Did something not happen to them? And just because there was no communication, didn't answer the phone. So then that destroyed the parents. One of the things that they said that the workers were saying, the Hatzalah guys, that afterwards there was just a mass of phones and debris on the floor, and the phones kept ringing. And they kept seeing on the message, Ima, Abba, your sister, my sister, my mother. And the phones just kept ringing and there was no answer. So Kadosh Baruch Hu is calling out to us every single day and he's saying, Ayaka, where are you? And all he wants from us is just to answer the phone. What we say after we answer that phone, whatever it's going to be, whatever that conversation needs to be with us and the Rebbeinu Shalom. But when things like this happen, we have to look at it that the Rebbeinu Shalom is calling to us. And he's calling to us, just pick up the phone. Just come close. Just do something. Just say hello. Just acknowledge me. And I think that Klal Yisrael, in all of its pain and all of its mourning, has to see it that way, that it's a call from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Tati is calling to us, and all he wants is that we pick up the phone.
And to everyone, that the way you answer the phone is different in the mashal. Hello, what's up? How are you? Answer the phone. The message is personal for each person. But
right.
there definitely, you need to answer that phone and say, where are you? I'll just tell you that for me, I don't know if, for me, the realization that life is so fragile and so quick. Where am I going to be when I die? Am I going to be in the middle of a religious experience, or am I going to be with my feet up watching Netflix? Where am I? Where was I? Where am I going to be? And that's an important thought. It's a sobering thought for me as I go through my day, and it's not. Yeah, it's important. It's the my ayaka. My ayaka is, where are you?
That's exactly right. That's the call to you. The call is think. Think. Consider. You process and consider in one way. I maybe would never even have those thoughts. My thoughts would take me to a very different place. But what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing is he's calling. And our responsibility is to respond. And your response is amazing. It's amazing.
So there was a kid who was there with his father, and one of his brothers was niftar, died, and they asked him, what were you thinking? Little boy must have been between 9 and 11, maybe 10.
Yeah.
He said, what were you thinking? And without hesitation, the kid said, Emunah b'tachon, faith in God. So that's the same kind of thing. Is where are my kids? What am I teaching my kids? Am I teaching my kids that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there with us, and that Hakol Tova, and that there's everything is with a cheshbon? The father was crying out, and he said, the only thing I was davening to Hashem is Lo tikach, al tikach mimeni et ha'amunah. Don't take from me my faith. You took my 2 children. Don't take my faith. Is that where I am in times of trouble? Am I thinking that, or am I just thinking, did I make enough money in my life? Did I leave? What was my legacy? What did I do? Is that what we're thinking? And to me, that's my ayakas. Where are you?
It's an alarm. Whenever Klal Yisrael goes through things like this, it has to be an alarm, and we have to appreciate. For me, I found this time that I can't get enough of listening to other Rabbanim and listening to Gedalim and listening to how people are processing. I shut off as soon as I hear reasons. I shut off. Not too many people are doing that. I heard one today, but really people aren't doing that. They're just saying the main message is just the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling out to you. Reach out to him. Don't let these feelings go away. It doesn't mean that we become debilitated, but this has to color us right now. This has to cover us. This has to really be present in our lives. That a tzara like this happens, and why, and the things, the mistakes that were made. We need to focus on those in order to be able to make sure the next time there's a gathering of hundreds of thousands of Jews that there isn't a sakana. but not because of blaming. Just to know we got to fix that. Okay, we had a problem, a serious problem, and we have to fix that. But what we need to be focusing on is the ruchnius, the spirituality, the message that God is sending to our ruach, to our neshamas.
Shlomo Katz tweeted today, amongst all the things, if you haven't seen his videos, where he's interviewed on both Israeli news and national and American international news. I'm sorry, he's just making a beautiful Kiddush Hashem and letting his heart pour out, and really the heart of Klal Yisrael pour out on these interviews. But he tweeted today that it's horrible, it's horrific that the gates of heaven were opened this way, but now that they're open, we can't let them close, and we just got to make them as wide as we can. And I think that's put into words. That's a message, and important.
I want to share one other little thing. You find a lot of times when a tragedy like this happens, what a lot of people do is they try to personalize it. Oh, I know that person's father's brother, sister's mother, right? I was there 2 minutes before, and then I left, and
I would have been there if not for it.
I thought about going, but then I something happened and I couldn't go.
What is that? Yeah.
So I decided not to look at it in a bad way. It bothers me, but I decided not to look at it in a bad way. It's because not everybody has that mechanism that they don't need to know a name in order to feel a connection, because they feel a connection to Klal Yisrael. A lot of times when a person is sick, so we share their name. When we say Tillim in a shul or in Beis Medrash. So if you share the name, then people will feel more connected. The truth is other than davening for a specific person, but you really don't need to. If a Yid is sick, if a Yid is in trouble, if a Yid is going through this, then I'm going through this. And that's actually what I'm learning from them. I'm not condemning them, that they need to say, I knew that person. I'm good friends with their...
It is personal.
It is personal. And we have to see that. I'll tell you, yesterday I was standing in Yerushalayim. I happened to have gone to Yerushalayim for a few minutes. And I was in Yerushalayim and I was standing on the street talking with somebody, a serious conversation. And one of these trucks, in Yerushalayim, what they do when somebody dies and they want to publicize the funeral, they make a recording of all the information, and the car or truck goes through the neighborhoods. And it has got a specific sound to it. Halevaya,
a tune, a certain tune.
Right. And then, so whenever you hear that, your ears perk up, because, they use it usually for important people. So it's either a gadol or it's
lamenting.
And somebody's died, and, you need to know that information. So I stopped the conversation, was listening, and I heard the name of the bacher. I think it was the one from Cleveland. One of the bachrim from the Mir. The Levaya was last night. And it just made it so real. And I'd been watching and looking, seeing videos and all kinds of stuff, but you're standing there on the street, and the guy is coming through and making the announcement about the Levaya. And this has to be something that's real to us. And I realize in America it's harder. We're living it here. When you say that, 5 or 6 of them were from Modi'in Elite, you're talking about 2.5 miles up the highway. It's our neighborhood. When you talk about it, even some of the names are people that are known in the, certainly in the American Torah community, and we have to feel that way, and that's part of the message that we have to hear. We're part of Klal Yisrael. Now, I don't care what kind of hats they were wearing. I don't care what kind of yarmulkes they were wearing, and it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference what their political or religious affiliation was. We are them and they are we. And it's about time that we need to walk away with that feeling.
I think you said this to me the other day. If not you, then it was my wife. Somebody was driving without a seatbelt, and they died in a car crash. Who's going to be the first one to say, you didn't have a seatbelt on?
It's his fault.
Right? Not so meaningful. And that's not how we relate to it. And we shouldn't be cold-hearted to do that here as well. It's the same thing. Mistakes? Perhaps. Lots of them? Perhaps. Who, what, where, when? Yeah, a lot of it. But it doesn't take away from the reality the individuals who died didn't do anything wrong. Maybe there's a general thing that there's an issue.
To go
But
to
again-
Mokum Sakana, stop there.
But again, there's individuals. Look at the faces. Look at these people. Read their names. See their stories. These are human beings. At worst, you want to say they weren't wearing a seatbelt? Don't let yourself go there. There's going to be a conversation about it. We're going to need to have a large, big, national, international, every kind of conversation needs to be done here. But that conversation needs to happen through the pain and through the realization that these are people and that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sending us a message and he's talking right to us and the phone is ringing.
So really, we have precedent. We have places to look at to figure out how we're supposed to react and what we really should be doing right now. Ahron loses his 2 children on a day of simcha, a day of joy, a day of light, a day of brightness, a day that spiritually very similar to Lag Baomer. It was the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, where there was a new era for the Jewish people, and there was a new light being brought in. And
it was exciting. There was fever. There was, whatever you call it. It was exciting day.
And on that day, the 2 sons of the high priest, the 2 greatest kids in Klal Yisrael, died. And Ahron taught us forever. What do you do when tragedy strikes? Vayidom Ahron. He was quiet. It wasn't because he was cold. It wasn't because he had no tears. But he needed to process. He needed to bring it inside. He needed to put it into context. He needed to understand it. He needed to ask himself the question, Le ma? For what? What am I getting out of this? Where am I supposed to go with this? Vayidem Ahron. He was listening. He wasn't talking. And I think that that's the way we need to process right now. We need to be in a place of Vayidem. Think. Get the information inside. Process. Think about it. Work it out. What can I do? How can I listen to my message? Then, the talking, that'll happen later.
Right. And for those listening, the conversation is open. We're not closing any books on conversation. Do not get that message from us. We will have the conversation. We are happy to have the conversation with you. But there's a time. That
tears should be wiped away from the face of the earth. We should know from Numer Tzad like this. And the way that we can begin to not know from Tzad like this is to begin to listen to our messages, hear the phone ringing, and just pick it up.
Okay, thank you for listening, and we hope that this helped you in some way. If anybody does need help, you can reach out to us at intentionaljew@gmail.com or to the rabbi or to myself, and we will be happy to help you in any way we can.
Shabbos kodesh